Yo, what is up guys? It's Pedro here, and in today's video I will be giving you guys my outlook of the Washington football team's 2021 wide receiver room, how I think it stacks up to the rest of the NFL, and who I think might end up getting cut. So if you guys are new, make sure to subscribe for Washington and NFL content. So let's get right into the video. Overall, I really like what the Washington football team did this offseason with their wide receiver room. I mean, they added Curtis Samuel, who can be a really good number 2 receiver in the NFL. He's super young, 24 years old, so he has a lot of room to grow. They added Adam Humphreys, a really good slot receiver that's going to be reliable for you when on the field, and he has some chemistry with Ryan Fitzpatrick. His best 2 years were in Tampa Bay when, Ryan Fitzpatrick was the quarterback. They added Dyami Brown out of UNC, a great steal in my opinion in that third round. A lot of people had him projected to go in the second round. He went in the third, and then they also added Dax Milne out of BYU. So they added a lot of different players to their wide receiving core, and I'm really liking how it looks. Obviously, we know there's already a few locks to make it. Terry Mclaurin is going to make it. Let's hope he takes even another step forward in 2021. Got over 1,000 yards this season. Played really well with a bunch of different quarterbacks the second half of the season. He was injured this year. If he can stay healthy the full 16 games with Ryan Fitzpatrick as his quarterback, I think he can get over 1,250 yards and maybe over 6 or 7 touchdowns. I'm really excited to see what he can do with, a gunslinging quarterback, but also with a better receiving core around him. He was really the only threat last year on our wide receiving core, so teams could easily double team him and put most of their attention towards him. Now you got Curtis Samuel, who we already know what he can do, had over 1,000 yards from scrimmage last year, and who even knows what Dyami Brown could do. Maybe he could have a Terry McLaurin type impact in his rookie year, just like Terry did in his rookie year. But there's also some other intriguing guys at the bottom of the list in Kelvin Harmon, Antonio Gandy-Golden, even Isaiah Wright, Dax Milne, who, they're borderline guys. That's what we're going to talk about mostly in today's video, because some of these guys that, Antonio Gandy-Golden, a 4th round pick last year, Kelvin Harmon, a 6th round pick in 2019, who had a pretty good rookie year, they're going to have to fight for a roster spot this year. So let's go over who I think is going to make it and kind of my expectations for each one of them. Already talked about Terry McLaurin. He is 100% going to make the roster, and like I said, I think he's going to take another step forward with Ryan Fitzpatrick and with a better wide receiver across from him in Curtis Samuel. Curtis Samuel, I also think he's going to take another step, in this system with a gunslinging quarterback, 24 years old. I think he's going to have his first 1,000-yard receiving season and, going to still be a little bit involved in the running game. Adam Humphreys, so those two guys are locks, and we'll talk about Dyami Brown later as well, but he is also a lock. They spent a 3rd-round pick on him. He is going to make the roster. Adam Humphreys, I think, is close to a lock unless there's an injury in training camp or unless Dax Milne looks like incredible. If Dax Milne looks incredible, then maybe Adam Humphreys gets cut, because I don't necessarily see both of them making the roster just because, they have Curtis Samuel who can play in the slot, Adam Humphreys or Dax Milne. If one of them makes it, they only really play in the slot. Terry obviously plays on the outside, but also plays in the slot. And then Antonio Gibson and J.D. McKissic, when they line up as a wide receiver, they line up in the slot. So I think Adam Humphreys is going to make it, but it's not 100% sure, on a lock. The next guys, this is when it gets tough. And real quick, you guys can see Adam Humphreys' stats. His best 2 seasons were in Tampa Bay. Well, really his best 3 seasons, especially 2018, where he had 816 yards and 5 touchdowns, and that was with Ryan Fitzpatrick and Jameis Winston. So let's see if they can, do that again here in Washington. but I think he is likely going to make the roster. After that, that's where it gets tough. I think Cam Sims is likely to make the roster. One, because he was in this system last year. He already knows the system, played 16 games last year, 477 yards and 1 touchdown. But, he really didn't play much the first half of the year, mostly on special teams. After week 5, week 6, he started to get a lot more playing time, and that's when he started to do pretty well. And probably if he would have played the full season, probably would have gotten 600 plus receiving yards. I think he's going to make the roster. He has a little bit more money guaranteed than AGG and Kelvin Harman, at least for this year. So I think he's going to make it, and could be a really solid rotational receiver. Obviously has some upside as well. I think he's going to make it. So that puts you at Terry McLaurin, Curtis Samuel, Adam Humphreys, Dyami Brown. That's 4, plus Cam Sims is 5. Those 5 I think are probably going to make it, but the first 4 I think definitely will make it unless something crazy happens. Cam Sims, he has the best chance out of the next tier of guys, in my opinion, to make the roster, just because he's been in this system and he produced at a decent level last season. The next 2 guys, this is where it really gets tough. Kelvin Harman, I really like Kelvin Harman. In his rookie year, had played in 16 games, didn't really do much the first half of the season, but the second half of the season he played pretty well. In total had 365 yards, and then of course had his ACL injury, I think in July last year. He missed the whole season, which is really unfortunate for him. I like him, but here's the thing with Kelvin Harman. He was a 6th round pick in 2019 from our old regime, and he's going to be competing with AGG, who was a 4th round pick in 2020 by this regime. He's also going to be competing with Cam Sims. I don't know if he makes it. Personally, I would have him on the roster, but if I'm giving my prediction, I don't know. I think if he looks significantly better than Antonio Gandy-Golden, and Antonio Gandy-Golden comes to this season kind of where he left off last year, not too great, then there's a chance AGG gets cut, but I don't think so. But there has been some, noise about Kelvin Harman possibly moving to that H-back, / tight end role. And if he puts on 10 to 15 pounds, I think it would be a decent move, because it would probably guarantee he makes the roster as a hybrid between tight end and receiver. He's a good route runner, especially if he were to play tight end, a very good blocker. So he just has to add weight if he wants to do that. Antonio Gandy-Golden, we all know last year wasn't a great year, coming off of a year at Liberty where he had over 1,400 yards and 10 touchdowns. Very disappointing year last year. In training camp, had a concussion, so really didn't get to do anything in training camp, and then played a few games to start the year, only had 1 catch, and I think he had a 30-yard rush. But then after that, he had his hamstring injury, which sidelined him for until the last couple games of the season, and then he came back in that game and just didn't look great. So I'm not giving up on him yet. Let's see what he can do in 2021 with a full off season, and in his second year, maybe he makes a jump. I do think he's going to make the roster. And then Steven Sims, I don't think he's going to make the roster at all. Who knows though? Crazier things have happened, and I don't think Isaiah Wright's going to make the roster, but he could be a practice squad guy. It's going to be interesting to see how this shakes out, and it could definitely, if they keep 7 wide receivers, then I think it'll be Terry McLaurin, Curtis Samuel, Adam Humphreys, Dyami Brown, Cam Sims, Kelvin Harman, and Antonio Gandy-Golden, those 7. But Dax Milne also has a chance to make the roster as another slot guy. And who knows, one of these guys might get injured and put on IR before the season starts, and it'll make this list easier, to predict if that happens. But hopefully, of course, that doesn't happen. So let me know in the comments down below what 6 receivers you think will make the roster and what 6 you want to make the roster. Tomorrow, likely, when the schedule drops, I'll have a video out, talking about the schedule and maybe even a little bit of a record prediction there. So let me know if you guys want to see that. So appreciate you guys watching. Subscribe if you guys are new. Hit that like button. It helps out a ton. And turn on those notifications. Peace.